Okay, so we're going to try to figure out a technique that we want to use for this. I've already got one in mind, and the idea is that we could box model from a cube and box model the whole thing out. That has issues and problems in upon itself, so I'm gonna go with modeling and extruding primitives. So I look at this weapon in different ways. The grip is going to be more rounded. Even though this has a round shape, it's a lot more more flat in geometry. It's not going to be as round because we don't, we're not going to be, it's going to, because the grip has to be held with your hand, and it's got to be the right size. So basically what we're going to use, we're going to break this up into smaller parts, and I can see the handle and the grip being two separate pieces. So we've got the grip, and we've got the handle for, or the guard for the trigger. So we're going to create the trigger guard as a separate piece, the trigger as a separate piece, the handle, the grip as a separate piece. This back piece here will be separate. So we got 1, 2, 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this section right here will be all one piece, 5, and then 6, this is the end piece. So that's where we're at. So now we got figured out how we're going to go about the workflow we're going to use to get this done. Alright, so let's go ahead and click on a cylinder. And let's go ahead and open the inputs up now. If you don't see this channel box open up, just do Control A. So if you see this is the attribute editor for this object. So we're going to go Control A again, and that'll get us back into the channel box. Under the channel box, under inputs, under cylinder, polycylinder 1, you want to change this to 8. Subdivision heights, you want to save this to 4. Change that to 4. Okay. So we're going to go to the top view, and we're going to delete every other edge here on top. I'm going to hit the Q key. Sometimes the manipulator gets in the way when you're trying to select. That's why I hit the Q key, which is the selection tool. I'm going to go ahead and click on delete. Alright, so this is what the object looks like right now. We're going to go ahead and select it, and we're going to go ahead and scale it down. So it'll be like handle grip. If I cut a handle grip in half, this is kind of what it would look like. Okay, that's the wrong way. Right, let me go back, and let's do it this way. There we go, handle grip. Great. Okay, from the front view, we're going to go ahead and scale that down a little bit, like that. And let's go ahead and move it. Alright, one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to support the edges here, and I can always take these off if I want to. So I'm going to hit the Q key, right click over, and go to Insert Edge Loop. So holding the Shift and right mouse button, and then I'm going to go to Insert Edge Loop. We've done this before. Alright, so just go ahead and add the edge loops. Okay, we can always delete those later. Let's go ahead and hit the Q key, get off the tool, and then select. Then click on select, and then we can hit the 3 key. You can see that smooths it out, keeps the shape really nice. Hit the 1 key again, and now we're ready to move forward. So if you haven't already, make sure that you go into view, or excuse me, shading, and go into X-ray. Okay, make sure you have X-ray. You can turn off wireframe unshaded if you want to, but I like to keep it on. So X-ray. That way I can see what the heck's going on with this model. Here we go. Alright, so wireframe unshaded lets me see the subdivisions of it. So let's go ahead and click on this again. We need to make that a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and rotate into position. Let's go ahead and scale. And let's go ahead and move it into position. So there's our first piece. I'm not too worried about intersecting pieces. A lot of people are freaked out about doing that with gaming models. It's okay. You can intersect. You just can't have two faces occupying the same space. That seems to be the problem. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and move vertices around. Pretty simple stuff here. So just take the time to move these vertices around. And I usually select the two, or marquee select those two. That means it goes all the way around. Just don't select one vertex. It doesn't move the ones behind it, so be really careful with that. I always marquee select. So I select, marquee select, you can see what I'm doing. And then I hit the W key and move them into place. Okay, do the same thing with this guy right here. Now you notice that there's some issues with that, but you can kind of look at what you have. So we've got a little bit of an issue across here. Okay, so we're going to pull that back down again. That doesn't really work. We got an edge, a point in the edge there. So we got to be careful with that. We can create that. We can create that that detail by adding another edge loop here, if we need to. Let's go ahead and select this, and let's go ahead and go up the back with the handle. Here we go. And again, we could rotate these vertices, okay, so they fit a little bit better. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Rotate that a little bit. You can see how that just kind of helps that. Again, I'm going to rotate this a little bit like that. And let's go ahead and I'm going to rotate this a little bit too as well. Okay, you can see that that kind of helps. And let's rotate that a little bit more even and move that over. Okay, we're going to move that up into that other piece. And we're going to kind of move this in the middle, kind of move that in the middle, kind of get that shape. The idea is just shaping it. It's actually kind of fun and works really well. I'm just rotating and shaping, rotating and shaping. And you'll get better and better at this. Here we go. So now we're getting kind of the shape of that bottom part. Again, let's see if we can rotate that, get it more flat. There we go. That looks good. So that part is looking good, and we're going to add one more edge loop here. So I'm going to select it, hit the Q key, hold the Shift key down, right click, and go into Insert Edge Loop tool, and let's go ahead and insert that edge loop right there. That looks good. Alright, so let's hit the Q key again, right click over and go to vertex mode, and let's go ahead and pull these vertices out. We want to do them in groups of two. If you just pull this out, this will misshapen the handle. Okay, so you always want to do those in twos. The two outside edges need to be moved. Okay, so when we look at the grip now in perspective, you can see what I have, and you should have the same kind of thing. So that's the idea. All right, do the two outside. That keeps that nice smooth part. If I hit the 3 key now, you guys can see how the handle grip is actually looking. That looks pretty dang good for low poly. I know that's smooth shaded, but that still looks really good. Very happy with that. Okay, so we're going to continue on. Okay, now we're going to move on to, I'm not going to do the trigger right now. I'm going to move on to the casement in the back. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a cylinder. So click on your cylinder up here and open it up, and we're going to do 8. Again, we're going to do 4 divisions, okay, for height. That's good. And we're going to do the same exact thing from the top view, okay. So we're going to get rid of every other one of these and hit delete. Go ahead and make sure we did this right. We also want to go ahead and we want to rotate this. Okay, we want to do this at 90 degrees, so I'm going to go ahead into my channel box and just type in 90. We can also double click on this bad boy and go into transform constraint, step snap, and turn that relative. So that's wonderful. We can just do relative snap on here. It makes things a little bit faster and easier. If you want to turn that off, obviously you can come back in here and turn it to off. Okay? Just remember you have it on, otherwise it's going to be really perplexing if you want to do if you don't want to do segmented rotations. So I'm going to turn it off now. I don't mind typing it in. Some of you guys do a lot of rotation, but I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot. So let's go ahead and find out what the scale will be on that, or excuse me, the size. I'm going to bring that in. This is where the this comes in handy. Looking at a reference of a one that's been printed. I think this is actually a prop from the Aliens movie. So I'm just kind of getting an idea of the thickness here. I've minimized mine a little bit. You can see what I'm doing here. And you get the idea. I don't want to make it too thick. This is the problem I've seen with artists, that they make things way too thick. But I think this is a good start. Let's thin it out just a little bit more right there. We do want that round feel though. Okay, that looks good. We may flatten this out a little bit more, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, that looks good. So the only thing I might want to do is flatten out the top a little bit more. So I'm going to click on that edge and this edge. Okay. And this edge. And I'm holding down the shift key when I'm doing that. That adds. And I'm going to go ahead and move that up. Okay, so that kind of gives us that round part on top. We still have some roundness. We definitely have a piece up on top, but that kind of gives us that shape. Alright, cool. Awesome. Looks good. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to the side view. Let's go ahead and open this back up again. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and move that up. Alright, so we're going to get into this piece right here. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to scale this down. Actually, I'm going to scale the whole thing down a little bit like that. There we go. And then scale this down a little bit more like that. There we go. Alright, so just kind of moving these vertices around. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this taken care of. And I do want to rotate this a bit. I know that's going to be causing problems. So let's keep it straight, I guess. Let's see, Control Z, and let's just do this. I think this is, I'm going to move this back a little bit, and move this back as well. I'm going to move this forward a little bit, and then I'll move this forward as well, like that. So you can see I'm keeping that as flat as I can. Again, I'm going to move this so we keep that nice and even. It's really important. Okay. Same thing with the back. We do have some pieces on top. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this down. There we go, because that piece looks like it's separate. It almost looks like it's the site, which makes sense. Let's go ahead and move that up like that. Alright. Looks good. Same thing with this guy here. We're going to go ahead and move that. And then move this into place. And then I'm going to worry about this guy right here. Get that flat. There we go. And same thing with this guy. Kind of flatten that out and move that into place. Okay. Let's see here. See what we've got in the back. Okay, not looking too bad. Just double checking it. The width is not wide enough. Let's go ahead and widen that just a little bit more. There we go. because we want that to go over top of the other one. There we go. That looks good. So that's that piece. Now we will have an issue with this. This becomes that we have kind of a harsh edge right here. That's going to be hard to get to work on. I can do a couple things here. I can add a section to this. We could do let's go ahead and hold that shift key down, go into insert edge loop. I can insert an edge loop here right at that point right there. And we could try and go in here to vertex mode and bring these down, and then bring this down. Okay, and we can add another edge loop here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep that nice and blocky right there. And there's another route you could go. I could go back up here. I could go into face mode, select these faces right here. And this might be a better route for us, and go Control E and move that down. Go in here and then move those vertices around so they fit like that. That's a way we can do it as well. Okay. There we go. See how that looks. That looks pretty good. I like that a little bit better. Okay, so we've got that piece looking good. And now the next piece will be the same kind of modeling techniques that we'll use. We're going to go ahead and create another cylinder. Okay, we're not going to extrude off of this one. I don't like doing that. I want to keep these two separate pieces here for a reason. Now I could, for the low poly, I could do that, extrude that out, but I've got lots of options here. I'm going to go ahead and get this started. So I've got 8. Now I'm modeling for this for the first time right in front of you, so I'm still figuring things out too myself. As an artist, you get to see how I actually work. I need to delete those edges first on top. So I'm going to go ahead and click on marquee, select these edges, delete them, and rotate it. I'm going to get that same rotation. 90. There we go. And let's go ahead and pop that into place. Get that set up. I only do 4 iterations or 4 subdivisions because I want to keep it as low poly as I possibly can. Get that scaled up a little bit. Move that into place. Get it as close as you can. Okay, here we go. I think that's good. Alright. Maybe scale that in just about halfway. Alright, so that's good. Let's see about thickness now and size. Thickness, we're a little thick there. I think the gun does get wider as it goes down, but not that much wider. So let's go ahead and pull that in. Okay, and that looks about right. Okay, and at the end, let's go ahead and pull it in a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Okay. And let's pull it in just a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Great. And so we'll do the same kind of thing. We want to follow the same edges, okay, as we have with this other one. So we're going to select this edge right here and move it up. Kind of follow that edge right there. And we're going to select this edge right here and move it down. Okay, there we go, like that. That looks good. Okay, so let's go in here and start moving vertices around. Okay. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna move these vertices up. Okay. Then I'll have to make some changes here. Okay, that looks good. Move that in, and we'll move this in. There we go. Got a separate piece down there, so I'm not too worried about that. We've got a little bit of a separate piece here too. I think I like what we got so far. Okay. Let's take a look at the shape. Okay, again, we're just kind of blocking it out right now, getting an idea of how we're going to lay this out. I think that's the basic shape of, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that looks pretty cool. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is start adding some detail to the low poly so it fits the high poly a little bit better. Okay. Let's go back into selection mode. I'm going to hit the Q key and I'm going to add some edge loops. So I'm going to add an edge loop here for this piece and an edge loop here for this piece. Let's see how this goes. Insert. Just kind of move vertices around, getting that shape. Okay. Insert edge loop there. Okay, that'll work real good. Hit the Q key. Right click, go to vertex mode, and just move that over here like that. I'm going to move these vertices over. Okay. And normally I don't like having vertices so close or edges so close together. But you know, there's some instances you just can't get away from it. Alright, so we do have some pieces here that I think need to be looked at. So let's go ahead and move these down. I see this little piece here as being a separate piece, so I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge that. And I'm going to move that's straight right now. Let's move that out just a little bit more. There we go, like that. Drawing isn't perfectly squared. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is we've got the basic shape. I think that looks pretty good for the low poly. Alright. And this should be able to support the high poly. Okay, so let's get everything back into object mode. There we go. Okay, we're going to add a couple of the little things, low poly. I do want this to be moved up into the gun itself. Okay. For now, I'm not too worried about, like I said, intersecting geometry. We're just blocking this out. So I'm just kind of getting that set up right, properly. There we go. Alright, so I'm moving that back in. There we go. So that's all stuck up in there. That's good.